my first night in San Francisco, I saw the Cockettes and Allen Ginsberg. So I knew I had come to the right place. I thought I was on Mars.
LA is the place where they write adventures, and San Francisco is the place where adventures happen that get written about.
I mean, that's our strength, and that's our fame is, out in San Francisco. You guys out in San Francisco, you're always doing something new, different. I mean, you break the rules all the time.
Here, there's just people doing, I got this idea, I want to do this, and the people go, try it.
The city is kind of like a magnet for outsiders, for eccentrics, for bohemians, for outcasts, for rebels.
You can't go any farther left than here. It breeds different thinking. It breeds the life of the human imagination.
If where you were aiming at on the map was the state of being personally free, this was the place to come.
Everything was alive and the whole culture was just erupting.
It wasn't just that you had a North Beach with all these beat poets in it, and you had people like Lenny Bruce, transgressing the norm by doing material that he'd get arrested for.
We're talking about a period of transition where changes were happening very, very quickly. And a lot of changes in the arts, not just in the theater, but also in music, also in painting, also in poetry. City Lights bookstore was there on the corner, with Lawrence Ferlinghetti.
We wanted to emblemize total freedom. We wanted to say, guys and girls, it looks like this. This is what it could be. Woo, woo, woo.
All this loosening was very good for the arts. San Francisco became a point of focus for all the new directions in the theater, not just in the United States, but in the world. The workshop under Herbert Blau was underway. And it seemed to me that San Francisco at the time was the Mecca. That was it. That was the place to be. If there was anywhere in the world that you should be if you were going into the theater, it had to be San Francisco.
We began to do things at the absolute extremity of what you could put on a stage.
Founded in 1952 by Herbert Blau and Jules Irving, the San Francisco Actors Workshop was the city's first theater created after the war. Its engagement with the literary avant-garde, collaboration with other disciplines, and leftist political leanings established a tradition that has been the hallmark of San Francisco theater ever since.
The Actors Workshop was particularly known for daring work, for being engaged with a whole new emerging group of mid-20th century and post-World War II playwrights coming up.
Actors Workshop was totally avant-garde, and that's why I was so attracted to them, and they were in turn attracted to us. Yeah, they brought Beckett, and they brought Pinter, and they brought Brecht, and they brought Albee, and introduced us to a whole new approach to theater.
I began to realize that the more interesting stuff in the 60s, as we passed from the 50s and the 60s, the more interesting stuff was happening in the other arts. Galleries were developing around, in North Beach and elsewhere around town. Happenings were on the scene. Installation art of a certain kind was beginning to materialize. They were beginning to do things like assemblage. I'd met Bob Levine by that time, and Bob began to design things for us, and he did mind-blowing things. You didn't do these things in the theater. Mort Subotnick began to compose for us. We had some of the first, probably the first electronic scores of any major proportions in this country ever done specifically for theater.
He brought all the artists, the first light show people and myself and all of these different people into the theater to transform the actual production.